What's happening, everybody in the VC? Craig here to shoot my response, long overdue, into my brother, Vance, the VK 300 subs contest. Show me what you got. Man, I got a lot. I guarantee it. Basically, the whole premise of the response video was to show stuff other than just, vinyl, CDs, cassettes, etc. and show, what else you collect, whether it's t-shirts, magazines, books, buttons, napkins, forks, other stuff. Figurines. Wait. That makes it sound like it's precious moments. No. Back it up. Alright. I collect all types of different stuff. Music related. I'm a music junkie. So, obviously if it's something music related, I'm going to collect it. So, there's a lot of different stuff I collect. DVDs, VHS, books, magazines, t-shirts. Obviously, you always see me in a music-related t-shirt almost every video. Like there might be one where I'm not in a music t-shirt, but my whole wardrobe is pretty much all music t-shirts. I do have a lot of concert t-shirts. I used to buy a lot more when I first started going to concerts in the late 90s. But as I got older and started to have to buy my own tickets, because my dad would just buy my ticket when I didn't have a job, which obviously kind of hard for a 12-year-old to get a job and be able to afford Aerosmith tickets. So, obviously couldn't afford them. Once I started buying my own tickets and paying my own gas and food and everything else, start looking at a t-shirt when, $25 as a kid and your dad's buying it for you, it's no big deal. But when you're in your early 20s and you're going to a show and you see a t-shirt, well, the prices went up, so $35, $40 for a t-shirt, a really big show, you're just going to say, nah, I don't need it, it's enough to keep the concert stub and have the memory of the show. So it's very rare that I will buy a shirt at a concert. I think the last one I can remember actually buying was when I saw Metallica in 2009, because they had special shirts for each show. Like, it was the same design, but it had the date of your show and name of the city on it. So I had to, of course, buy for that one. But let's get right into this. So, long overdue, BC cheer. And what's playing in the background? Muddy Waters, folk singer. Tricky one to find on vinyl, but easy to find on CD. So, basically, I kind of pulled a few things just to kind of, synopsis as best I could. I mean, if you've watched my most recent music room tour update, you can see there's a lot of different stuff in around the living room here and in my office. Different collectible figures, the Metallica and Justice for All series that came out about a good 10 or so years ago. Kiss figures, Iron Maiden, a bunch of, obviously you see there's a lot of posters. I will show you, though, my concert ticket stub sort of framed up thing. I got to get a better frame for it and actually do it upright. I've been just slowly adding to it, as the years went on, and it's beyond full, and I want to organize it a bit better. But I do have a lot of different, memorabilia and a lot of stuff that I have in storage bins, like all my concert t-shirts. They're all in a storage bin because a certain part of them I wore a fair amount, and so I didn't want to wear them out anymore, and a lot of stuff you just kind of, you want to keep it as intact as you can. So, what I decided to show here is some books and a few other kind of cool stuff, and then I'll show you my ticket stubs. And I also do have one other cool piece of memorabilia that I'll show as well that I kind of like, sort of a collectible type of thing. So, first thing that I decided to do was show some books, and I pulled out, I do have a pretty extensive collection of books. I mean, not not a library's worth, but definitely a nice solid stack. And there's a lot more that I still need to buy, but you know, books can get kind of pricey. So, but I pulled out 4 that were ones that I read throughout high school. So like the first 2 were ones that I picked up my freshman year, one I picked up my sophomore year, and one from my junior year. And these 4 traveled with me all through high school. I mean, I would literally get done with one and then bring out another. And I read, some of these I read like at least once, if not twice each year. When I should have been focusing on my schoolwork, I was busy, you know, nosing a book, you know, not really paying attention to what was going on in class. Which, I mean, if I would have applied myself, I would have been an honor student and would have went on to bigger and better things in college. But my goal wasn't to be an educated college student. You know, I already knew I was, you know, fairly, you know, astute. Come on, I mean, if you're an above average but not a crazy intelligent student in a Catholic private school, you're obviously still pretty smart. Trust me, there was stuff that I was learning my freshman year that I knew freshman people in college were learning. I mean, the few classes that I took in college were like advanced courses in college that like seniors or people that were, you know, going back to school to, you know, get their masters and stuff like that were taking these classes and like having a difficult time. And I'm like, man, I took this class my sophomore year of high school. So I definitely was ahead of the curve, but just too busy reading books and absorbing music to give 2 shits about school. Still got the same mentality, and I don't give a shit. So let's just show a couple of these books here. A beaten to hell copy of Hammer of the Gods, the Led Zeppelin saga. Now this book I bought, as you can see, I mean, it is just worn out. This thing did not leave my sight all 4 years of high school, and I read the shit out of this. I mean, this book, one of the best. No stone left unturned, in my opinion. Definitely a very, very definitive book on Led Zeppelin, one of my favorites. And I haven't really read it much since high school because I think I just wore myself out on it. Read it so many times. There was a point where I could recite certain chapters because I read them so much. And one that I know my big brother LJ and I have talked about before, No One Here Gets Out Alive, Jim Morrison biography. This is another great book, very descriptive, a definitive biography in my opinion for Jim Morrison, and this was a killer read. Read it all 4 years, loved it. Alright, this one I had actually gotten from the library, read it, and then bought myself a copy because it was just that good. And this is Down the Highway, The Life of Bob Dylan. Great book. Read this my sophomore year, and so on and so forth. It went on each year. Read through it. I think I was actually cracked back into it a few years ago, and never really got. I don't even know how far I got. You know what? Let's see where this bookmark left me off. Okay, page 265. So we're at a point where basically talking about New Morning. So very cool. And one that I picked up my junior year. Written by the same person who wrote Hammer of the Gods, Stephen Davis. Old Gods, Almost Dead. You know, Rolling Stones biography. And this thick book, but a great book on the Stones, and descriptive, talks a lot about different stuff in here, and it was one of my favorite reads. You know, I mean, you get a good book like this, it would take me, you know, a couple weeks in school to read it, just because I didn't take time outside of school. Like, school was my time to read and just sort of zone out. When I was at home, busy doing teenage stuff. You know, I had a job by the time I was 15, so, you know, I worked pretty solid. I think part of my senior year, I had 2 jobs, plus I was in a band and had a pretty active social life, so no time to really read outside of school, so school was my time to read. So those were my high school year books. Next, actually, kind of going on the book kick, I do collect, books. Magazines are definitely a big one. I collected a lot of the Guitar World and like guitar player magazines and stuff like that in the mid to late 90s. And here and there I'd pick up copies of like Spin and Rolling Stone if they were really good, but nothing too huge. I got back into collecting, certain magazines and series of stuff like Classic Rock, Mojo, Uncut, trying to see if there were any other ones. I have a pretty extensive collection of Revolver magazine. I got really big into them for a period of time, about 6-7 years ago, and actually when they first came out too, because they were the only magazine that was really good at covering hard rock and metal and stuff like that. So got plenty of those. But talking about magazines here, Rolling Stone, love them or like them or fucking hate them, which at times I do hate, Rolling Stone. They were definitely, the first, really big magazine. We wouldn't have a Cream or a Hit Parader or a Circus, moving on to the magazines, Spin, stuff like that, if it weren't for, Rolling Stone really kind of paving the way, in terms of music magazines. And this was a cool gift from my dad a few years back. It's a Rolling Stone cover to cover. This is a CD-ROM based. I actually don't have the CD-ROMs here. They're in my office. But basically I think it's three CD-ROMs, I believe, that cover all issues of Rolling Stone from the first one in 1967 up through May of 2007. So every issue, basically it's like they took each magazine and just scanned it into the program. So you literally have the actual magazine right in front of you. So you can even see where there's paper, yellowing lines in certain spots and kind of faded on some of them, but you get the original advertisements, all the reviews, interviews, yada yada yada. It's literally like you're holding it, but it's on the screen. So that's very, very cool, and definitely a good piece of history, and really cool to kind of read some of those reviews and articles and stuff like that, which, I have my issues with Rolling Stone. There are reviews I never agreed with. Look back at a review of some album that you believe is a 5-star and fucking amazing, and it's one of your favorites, and you read it and they're panning it, giving it, 1 or 2 stars and saying this is a pile of shit. I don't know what this artist was thinking. And you're going, ugh, hate critics. But at the same time, I got it mainly for, I like to look up the ads, and I really love the interviews and all this classic shit. So that's definitely very cool and something to look into. I think it's fairly inexpensive now. I'm not quite for sure. I haven't done my research, but definitely one that shouldn't be missed if you're a fan of Rolling Stone magazine or anything in general. Now the next thing, actually, I got really obsessed here. So let's kind of show what I'm going to talk about. Obviously, Vance wanted to see some records being shown, and this is Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones, if you couldn't figure it out already. And yes, this is an OG. When I say OG, I mean OG. Yeah. Really nice condition copy with the original postcards and inserts and all that shit. So, OG. But I got really obsessed with Exile about summer 2010, when they reissued and remastered and did all that shit with that, and there was a big hoopla and hype around that. And that was an album I had not really ingested too well before that point. I knew a few of the songs, and I was a huge Stones fan, but I always skipped over that album because when I listened to it when I was younger for the first time, I didn't get it. It was just way too much for me all at once and didn't make any sense. But when I really started, listening to it more as I got older, I started, really getting it. And then with all the hype and everything else, and reading some of the backstories and everything else, I really was like, okay, this is an album I have to, sit down and listen to. And once that kind of happened, it was all over. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. I've listened to it, you know, top to bottom, back to front, hundreds of times since that summer. And with that, with obviously all the hype and stuff, a lot of, you know, really cool collectible to me at least, things came out. And I got really obsessed with picking up magazines and stuff. So, copy of Guitar World, Keith Richards on the front, obviously talking about Exile on Main Street and all that. So there was that. And that was actually a really cool issue because it had behind the, like a backstory for Beatles' Let It Be. So that was actually a really cool read. And Rolling Stone magazine also had obviously had to jump in on it, so they had 2 issues. Making Exile. So you got Mick on the cover of that one, and then you got Keith on the cover of this one. And then, like I said, I was getting into being a huge fan of the British magazines and stuff, so I have an issue of Uncut, Keith on the front, one of the coolest fucking pictures of all time. It's obviously talking about Exile, and it has the CD on here, basically sort of a tribute CD sort of deal that they do on all their issues. I know there was an issue of Mojo that it was also done for this album. I just haven't gotten the issue yet. So there were magazines, and obviously I got really obsessed with watching the documentary Stones in Exile, which is basically more or less based on photos that oh god, does it have his name on here so I'd be able to pronounce it right? Well, Dominique, can't remember how to say his last name, but all the photos that he took from this, and then obviously integrated with a little bit of footage and obviously talking head about the album, but definitely was really cool watch. I highly recommend it to anybody who's a fan of this album and has not seen this yet. I actually watched when it was premiered on NBC on Jimmy Fallon, and he had like Stones Week. So I think I remember Green Day and Fish, and a few other bands each played a song from Exile on Main Street that week, and there was also appearances by Keith and Mick and stuff like that. So that was a really cool kind of week, and also kind of going along with Exile, the tour that followed, 1972 tour. So you got Ladies and Gentlemen, the Rolling Stones. So the concert film from that tour, very, very good. And so there was that obsession in my collecting field. And then last one, and then we'll go into the concert stubs. Actually show a concert stub here. This is my most recent show I went to a couple weeks ago to see Queensryche, Jeff Tate's Queensryche. And they performed Operation Mindcrime in its entirety. So that was really cool. Shit part, you know, the thing that kind of sucks is that it's, you know, just Jeff Tate from Queensryche and that's it. You got, I mean, he's got great players behind him with Robert and Rudy Sarzo and Brian Tichy on drums, playing on this leg. Touring keyboardist who's played with Queensryche since the later 80s, and Kelly Gray playing guitar, who actually played in Queensryche for a period of time after Chris DeGarmo left. So, it sounded good. You know, Jeff was on top of his game, you know, and to hear that album in its entirety, no matter what, was fucking awesome. But it was my third experience with Queensryche. Previous times, 2003 and 2009, when I actually saw Jeff Tate with Queensryche, and then, you know, an actual Queensryche show. Both times were great. I could definitely go a show without hearing some of the songs from Empire again. I'd like to hear some more rarities, which was really cool. When I saw them in 2009, they played like half of Rage for Order, which was like, fuck yes, my favorite Queensryche album. So, but yeah, that's kind of a cool little thing. So, concert stubs. So let me juggle the camera around, and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about with the concert stubs and stuff like that. Alright. Hi. Alright. So first, what I was talking about behind me, and I don't know if I've really shown this before. This is my framed Asia poster with the concert stub here when I saw them. Yes, all 4 original members of Asia. So you've got signatures down below from John Wetton, Jeff Downs, Steve Howe, Carl Palmer. And they were very gracious guys. Glad I got to meet them when I did. And that was a very killer show. So, moving along here. Hopefully you don't have to experience too much of the mess around here. Here in the bedroom is where I keep all my concert stubs. So this, give or take a few, are all my concert stubs. So hopefully the glare from light isn't too bad. There's when I, actually it's a flyer for when I saw Slipknot with Lamb of God and Shadows Fall. Signed postcard for when I met Crossfade, when I got snuck into a bar when I was 19 by my dad. That was pretty cool. When I met Boba Flex, there's the wristbands. Bottom orange one was actually my dad's, but those were the wristbands I was wearing when I got to see U2 in 2001 and was on the floor. One of the wristbands everybody got that was on the floor, so it was general admission. The other, I believe the checkered one, was actually the one where you got if you were inside the heart. I'm not for sure. One of the two though, because my dad and I got to get inside the heart-shaped stage, so we had an extra wristband there. But and there's my warning that I got when I was coming back and speeding. I went to go see Mudvayne and Seven Dust in 2005. Yeah, warning. I was doing 30 over the speed limit. Oh well. But there's my concert stuff for my first ever show. Aerosmith. Saw him here at Notre Dame. November 29th, 1998. Opening act was 7 Mary 3. So here's some of my other ones. My Matchbox 20 concert stub. I got ran through the wash, but that was October 2nd of 2000. My U2 stub. Free show. Got to see Sister Hazel back when I was, I think, 13. There's when I saw Peter Frampton. One that I don't have a stub for is when I saw REO Speedwagon in the summer of 2000. That was at the 4-H fair. That was when I saw Bob Weir and his band Rat Dog, John Mellencamp. I guess I might as well go through all these. Styx, Eddie Money and Night Ranger, Queensryche Show, 2003, Jackson Browne, Perfect Circle, Godsmack. I saw Fish a couple weeks after I graduated high school. What an experience. When I went and saw Prince, that date is wrong. That show had to be rescheduled, so I saw him actually in July. Let's kind of go through here. Van Halen, Chevelle. That was when I saw Slipknot the first time. Ozfest 2005, when I got to see Iron Maiden. Oh yeah, that was a killer show. Gigantor, the first time I got to see Megadeth, and also when I got to see my other heroes, Dream Theater. Judas Priest. Their opening acts were Hatebreed and Anthrax. I actually missed most of Anthrax's set, which still sucks to this day, but still cool. I got to see Priest. When I saw Slipknot again later, 2005. Mudvayne, actually saw them twice in 2005. 2006 Ozfest. Those are signatures from when I met the guys in Strapping Young Lad. Very, very cool band. Humphreys McGee, Family Values 2006, Korn and the Deftones, Godsmack, Rob Zombie. That was a killer show. Lots of killer music that day. Second Gigantor I went to, which was in 2006. And the signatures were from the guys in Overkill, which were super fucking cool. I know Bobby Blitz was super happy to meet us, oddly enough, and actually gave me a huge hug. It's fucking awesome. We'll skip over seeing ICP. I'm ashamed of that one. Lamb of God, Bullet for My Valentine. There's Asia Stub. Megadeth again, so I've seen Megadeth 3 times. We'll kind of go along over here. This is where it kind of gets a little out of order, but when I saw Huey Lewis in the News in 2010, Crew Fest, I was with Motley Crue and Godsmack, 10 years. My most recent time when I saw Tom Petty. when I saw Tom Petty in 2010. I actually saw Tom Petty in 2008 too, but I don't have the stub for that one, which sucks. It was a computer printout, so no big deal. But when I saw Seven Dust again, 2008, Chevelle, that was actually on my birthday. And when I saw Seven Dust again earlier this year. So that pretty much does it on those. Like I said, there's a few stubs that are missing. I've also seen Disturbed. But that one didn't even say it on the stub, which was really fucked up. It was the REO Speedwagon one. I actually saw Lou Gramm in 2004. And that's pretty much it. So, on that note, congratulations again, Vance, dude. 300 subs, it should be more like 3,000. Killer dude, and I love you to death, brother. So, everybody take care, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.